Hi.
So very happy to be with you today. And we are delighted to introduce you to the 13th vintage of Rare Champagne, which is the Rare Millésime 2013.
Each vintage we produce at Rare Champagne belong to the style of Rare Champagne, but each vintage has its own personality. So that's why, for example, the former vintage that is still on the market, which is 2008, was infinite because of the potential of aging, the length of the 2008 vintage. Dazzling for 2013. It's because you will see and you will tell us what you think during the tasting. But for us, 2013 express light, how can I say that in English? But a very gentle light, the light you can have in an early morning during fall time when you. And so it's warm, but it's not too hot. It's quite refreshing, but still quite bright. And it's connected also with the vintage 2013. 2013 in Champagne is a cold vintage with cold spring, with some chaotic weather, let's say, during the summer, and a very cold but dry end of season. And we harvested in October. That's the last vintage we harvested in October. And we didn't harvest in October for a while before 2013. And I'm not sure we are going to see it again in the next future because we harvest earlier and earlier and earlier. So we harvested in fall time in October, just like we did in the 80s. That was the most common period of the year to harvest, but it was uncommon in the year 2000, 2010, and even less common in 2020, I think. So it's connected to the weather, to the climate of 2013, and also you will see it's connected with the aromas you can feel and the vibrancy you will feel on the palate. So in terms of blends, I think now you know more or less the style of Rare Champagne. Rare Champagne is always dominated by Chardonnay, 70% of Chardonnay and 30% of Pinot Noir. We have a small selection of cru, a small selection of village and terroir to make the blend of Rare. So each year it's between, let's say, 8 and 15 different terroirs that we selected to enter the blend. And this year we have 11 different cru. Most of the blend is coming from Montagne de Reims, which is kind of part of the style of Rare Champagne, because even for the Chardonnay, most of our Chardonnay are coming from Montagne de Reims. In that case, mainly Villers-Marmerie, but you have also some Vaudemange, and quite uncommon as well, we have some Chardonnay coming from Verzy and Ambonnay, because still also some Chardonnay in these areas. Then we balance the Chardonnay from Montagne de Reims, that is key for our style, with some Chardonnay from Côte des Blancs. So we have some Avize this year, some Chouilly, and some Auger. Auger, for example, is very interesting because according to the vintage, we might have Mille or Auger. But in that case, because it was 2013, quite straight, quite acidic, quite fresh, we wanted to balance it with more creaminess. That's why we picked more Auger than Mille. The last cru of Chardonnay is Mongueux, that we see more and more in the blend of Rare Champagne because it's really bring that extra layer of complexity, that extra layer of tropical fruits, aromas, touch of spiciness. So it's kind of a drop in the blend, but we like to add that drop of Mongueux more and more because it's really connected with the style we want for Rare Champagne.
So the Chardonnay from places like Ambonnay and Verzy, what do you like about that? Why would you pick the Chardonnay from there?
Because so forever, since the beginning, the first vintage of Rare is 1976, and it has always been connected with Montagne de Reims for the Pinot Noir, of course, but also for the Chardonnay, especially Villers-Marmerie. So the number one village in the blend of 2013, and that was also the case for the previous vintages, is Villers-Marmerie. Then, according to the vintage, we don't close any door, and we pick the best kind of. It can be Vaudemange, Trépaille. Most of the time, this is these two vintages. In that case, we add Ambonnay and Verzy. Verzy is just next to Villers-Marmerie. There is not so much Chardonnay in the village of Verzy, but it's just next to Villers-Marmerie. So for me, the Chardonnay from Verzy, they are very similar of the Chardonnay of the Verzy are very similar of the Chardonnay of Villers-Marmerie. Ambonnet is a bit different. It's the source of Montagne de Reims. And just like I said, we use a bit of Auger instead of Mille. It was interesting to bring back some Chardonnay from the source of Montagne de Reims to get a better kind of ripeness, maturity, and fruitiness. Rather than Vaudemange and Trepaille that are facing east and that we use probably a bit more when the sun and the heat is more present. And for the Pinot Noir, the main cru is Verzy, so just next to Bernard-Marie. And then we balance the Verzy with Verzenay and also with the south of Montagne de Reims with Ambonnet, Bouzy, and a touch of Toxières as well. So 5 different villages for the red, but altogether it's only 11 cru, and most of them are premier or grand cru. Only Mongueux is not a premier or grand cru. So that's for the composition of the blend, let's say. And the disgorgement was made in December last year.
So year after year, is it the same vinification style, or do you change it according to the vintage?
What do you mean, the blend?
Not the blend. So in terms of how much malolactic or barrel usage.
So the malolactic fermentation is fully down for 2013, and that was the case. 85, the vintage 85. In the history of Rare Champagne, which is, as you know, very connected to Piper at Sick, and it used to be the prestige river of Piper at Sick, Rare followed the winemaking philosophy of Piper at Sick. So the philosophy was to do not make the malolactic fermentation until 88 or something like that. So no, I think 88, the malo is blocked. So until 88, vintage 1988, the malolactic fermentation is blocked. Then after 1988 to the current one, 2013, the malolactic fermentation is fully done. That was the philosophy of Daniel Thibault and then Régis Camus. And then since I arrived in 2018, that's true for Piper and Rare. According to the climate, which is changing as well, we decided to implement some no malo wine in our winery for the reserve wines, but also for the blends. So it means that in the future, indeed, you will see a percentage of no malo wine to highlight and preserve that freshness, that minerality you described in 2013. In 2013, we didn't need to have no malo wine to reach that balance and that freshness. But for the most recent vintage, good vintages, indeed, I needed to add natural acidification, let's say, coming from the malic, and which is key. So for the last blend I made for Rare Champagne, I implement quite a significant amount of no malo wine in the blends.
Yeah, super interesting. So it's kind of like the new philosophy is just to, depend on the vintage, depend on the,
yeah. That's what we do today, and that's really, it's really connected with the weather, which is very different, and we need to preserve the style of Rare Champagne to change the way we make the wine. Besides that, on the winemaking side, there are no tricks. It's very natural fermentation. It's 100% stainless steel. It's very interesting because sometimes I have some feedback because you can smell some vanilla, some spiciness, some toastiness sometimes, but that's only coming from the autolysis of the yeast. So fermentation is made 100% stainless steel because we want to reflect and keep the purity of the fruit. We don't want to have any flavor coming from the aging barrel. So we keep it in stainless steel. We use very traditional yeast. Same thing. We just want to turn the sugar into alcohol, but we want to keep the flavor of the terroir, of the village, of the cru, where the grapes come from. And besides that, it's very traditional winemaking. The less winemaking product I use, the better I am. So it's the simplest winemaking as possible.
And you make magnums too, right?
We make some magnums. The one which is available today is 2006, and the next one will be 2008, which is coming soon. So as you can see, we are not releasing the magnum at the same time than the bottle because we need and we want an extra aging for the magnums. So most of the time you have 1 or 2 vintage difference between the bottle in the market and the Magnum on the market.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the 2013 is really amazing today. But as you can see, it can also be kept in the cellar for very, very long time. So huge aging potential as well. That's part of the contract, let's say, of Rare Champagne. We want also to have wine and champagne that have the ability to age way longer in the cellar of the final client. So it's amazing today. It would be probably even better in 10 years and very good as well in 20. So that's what we want to do.
No, I like the structure and the freshness to it. So I think it will be really interesting to see how it ages.
Yeah. We keep some bottle in the cellar for sure. We always do.
All right. Thanks a lot for the tasting.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Have a good day.